So did you see that the Gophers and Bama are going to play a home and home in like 10 years, which is fantastic. Roll Tide and ski your mom and all that stuff. But even though Saban's going to be 80 and probably retired, and PJ will probably be at Notre Dame by then, but don't care. That's pretty awesome. But something else that is pretty awesome is the NFL trade deadline coming up on November 1st, which is a Tuesday, right after the Vikings play the Cardinals. Now the Vikings 4-1, getting it done. They easily could be 5-1 going into the bye. They easily could be 6-1 heading into the NFL trade deadline. So they should be buyers, and they should not be sellers. They should not. So, again, we need to preface this video by saying the Vikings should not be trading anyone, even at positions of strength, positions of depth. Depth comes in handy. It's a long-ass season, long-ass playoffs, all that stuff. But we know that Kwesi, he likes to make some moves. He likes to shake it up, man. And trading, he ain't scared. He ain't scared, man. He will make moves to try and improve this team, whether trading in the draft, whether getting rid of a lot of Spielman's 2021 draft class, as well as trading for guys like Ross Blacklock, trading for guys like Jalen Reagor in season. So I think that the Vikings could and should be looking to make a couple moves before the deadline, but in the reverse direction, 5 Vikings that could be traded at the deadline. Again, not advocating for this, but I'm in a good mood, and hashtag content is content, man. First up, Viking number 1, who could be traded at the deadline? Irv Smith Jr. Now, Irv, respect. He's getting over his dropsies. Maybe the thumb had something to do with that, but he's making some big-time plays. I would not move Irv at this point, but he is in a contract year. Kwesi did not draft Irv. He did bring Kwesi and Kevin O'Connor brought in Johnny Munt. They trust Ben Ellefson, the pride of NDSU, even though he's on IR now with a kind of a... When you go on IR with a groin injury, that's a pretty bad one. Also, they drafted Nick Muse, your company's computer guy. So maybe if they could find value for Irv Smith, maybe he's crescendoing right at the right point at the trade deadline. Could you get back a high third-round pick or perceived high third-round pick for Irv? Maybe. Maybe at this point. Next up, Viking number 2. Again, not saying that the Vikings should be trading anyone, but Viking number 2 who could be traded at the deadline. I'm having too much fun with this. Interior offensive lineman Chris Reed. Now, the pride of Mankato State University Community College was brought in, much ballyhooed, potentially could have secured one of the starting jobs, but Ed Ingram rose like a phoenix. Jesse Davis. Now, Chris Reed coming in out of Mankato State University Community College. Big-time free agent, started a bunch of games last year for the Colts in place of Quentin Nelson, was in the running to secure one of the starting offensive line spots, whether it be Bradbury, but he won that job, or right guard, but Jesse Davis, and then eventually Ed Ingram won that job. Jesse Davis was jettisoned. Again, Kwesi's not scared to make some moves, man, but Chris Reed, he's been inactive for the Vikings game so far, and it's clear that they do like the depth they have in Austin Schlutman, the Dutch pronunciation, as well as Oli Udo. So, I mean, could Chris Reed be expendable to a team that is needing some depth along the interior offensive line? And they saw how Chris Reed played last season, plus he is on a very reasonable 2-year contract. It's possible. Next up. Again, the Vikings should not be trading at the deadline, but Viking number 3 who could be traded at the deadline, running back Alexander Madison. Now, Dalvin has already shown off some, the durability issues, and Madison and Dalvin are really becoming more of a 1A, 1B combination, if you read into anything, into the usage against the Bears. But Madison is in a contract year. He's showing that he is capable of being running back 1 in this league, and as teams around the NFL have some running back injuries, have some issues at that position, maybe they're like, hey, Madison, we do like Madison, and we could give him a tryout, see what happens in the system. If we like him, we could sign him to a free agent deal, and then just go from there. And the Vikings, they do have King Kene, they do have Ty Chandler behind Dalvin. Now, is King Kene ready to be an RB2 in this league? Maybe. And Ty Chandler does have that broken thumb, so that certainly inhibits him as running back. And again, I don't think that they trade Madison at the deadline, especially since, with Ty Chandler's thumb, King Kene maybe not being ready, as well as Dalvin Cook already showed durability issues. But, next up, don't trade anyone at the deadline, but player number 4 who could be traded at the deadline, wide receiver Jalen Reagor. Now, this, Could this be like a flipping situation where the Vikings gave up a 2023 7th and a conditional 2024 4th-round pick to the Eagles? Could they just be showcasing Jalen to trade him at the deadline for like a 2023 3rd-round pick or something like that? It's possible, man. But no, don't do this. Jalen, he's still on his rookie deal, and the Vikings are using him more and more in the offense, even though he played 3 offensive snaps, but one of them was for a touchdown. So it's clear that Kevin O'Connell wants to get him worked in. And again, don't see him as a wide receiver. See him as OW. Offensive weapon. Use Jalen like the Niners use Deebo Samuel. And I said, well, Jalen isn't the type of player that Deebo is. That's right, because Jalen was a 1st-round pick. Deebo was a 2nd-round pick. Got him. Got him, man. So, again, not saying trade anyone at the deadline, but there you go. But lastly, number 5. Again, we're having fun. It's a Wednesday. We're having a good time, man. Outside linebacker, Danielle Hunter. Now, this one hurts, but you could see the logic and rationale in it because Danielle, it's clear that the transition to a 3-4, it's taken some time. And he is a true blue, hand-in-the-dirt 4-3 defensive end. And he's basically in a contract year the way that the Vikings redid his deal. And the Vikings, they do have some nice stand-up outside linebackers in DJ Wanham, who's really thriving in the scheme change. Patrick Jones II is doing well. Luigi Villain could get an opportunity. Chris Garrett, Pride of Concordia, St. Paul, is on the practice squad. So, if the Vikings get a knockout offer for Danielle Hunter, like if a team needs some help on the edge and comes in and offers a 1st-round pick, you have to at least think about it, especially if Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, Ed Dontel, well, screw Ed Dontel, but Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, if they don't see Danielle as part of the long-term future and are going to cut or trade him in the offseason anyway, they got to think about it. Again, Kwesi wouldn't be doing his job if he doesn't take every phone call, if he doesn't explore every single avenue of making this team better. And even though I would massively disagree with getting rid of Danielle Hunter, who, again, is one of the better young edge rushers in the National Football League, it's just taking some time with this scheme change, they got to think about it. Got to think about it, man. That's it. But, again, do not trade anyone at the deadline. Keep this team together. You should be buying at the deadline. You should be making trades for other players to add more depth and talent to the squad, especially along the defensive line to stop the run. But never say never. Never say never, man. And again, in Kwesi we trust. All the right moves. Just be making those phone calls, man, and taking those calls. So we'll see. But your thoughts are thoughts. 5 Vikings who could be traded at the deadline, even though don't trade anyone at the deadline. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.